Yeah, yeah. So there you were, just you and Nkosi for 50 minutes.
I can't even believe I took up all that space.
Well,
Nobody took up all that space,
yeah, I
but
was going to say, well, you didn't.
it was just the space. Yeah.
And then what happened afterwards?
Well, then everything was great. I was feeling there was a lot of bubbly energy, and then the next day I watched it again, and I just felt all this embarrassment come up.
Why?
I felt embarrassment.
Yeah, I heard you. I said, why?
Oh, why? Oh, I think it's the comparison about like my thoughts, my story about my thoughts and what other people will think. Yeah, just thoughts that caused that embarrassment.
The thoughts caused the embarrassment.
I don't know.
Well, there's a face I haven't seen in a minute. Hello, Diane Martin. Welcome back. Oh, you're muted.
There I am. I'm on my phone, so I haven't used my phone before, so I'm just figuring out where everything is. So, yeah, I've been trying to get on for a while, but I've been working on Thursday, so I'm not working today, and thought I had some time, so I'd join in. Lovely to see you again.
Yeah, yeah, great to see everybody. Dawn, Brenda. Well, what can you say about already?
Hmm.
All is this already?
Yeah, the storytelling just continues. Seems to.
Yeah, why not?
And yet there's a personal idea about the me that says, I'm not that big of a storyteller.
Hmm.
And yet there's just a lot of storytelling going on.
Yeah, well, there's usually a lot of knowing
Right.
going on. I know I'm not good at this or I am good at that.
Mm-hmm.
With the me, it's always based on what it thinks it knows. But the message here that seems to be so freeing is that nobody knows. Like nobody knows. Like Nkosi doesn't know, Jim Newman doesn't know. Nobody knows. And there can still be an urge there that wants to know, right? That's how crazy this is.
Yes, an impulse. Or it's just yeah, it's just from doing it so much, it becomes a habit, habitual, something.
Yeah, that habitual wanting to get something more, or a sense of waiting for something to happen. Like, this isn't it, but you know, it's coming. I was just listening to Nkosi do his private with Charles, which they just posted. Nkosi and Charles. I think Charles posted. And yeah, Nkosi was saying to him that there's no past and there's no future right now. And you could say that the entire ball of wax that is the me, its lifeline is past and future. It's its oxygen. It can't live without it.
But the body doesn't have to go like disappear, or the image of the body doesn't have to disappear. I don't know how that works.
You're already doing it. It's like
Right.
it's like a dream at night. You know, you're fast asleep, you're out, and there's a dream happening, and it seems very real while it's happening. But when you wake up, where is all that?
Yeah. Is that what people say when you go to heaven? You're just in the eternal now, and
Well, it's just saying that it's just a dream. It's all a dream, just like at night. And so now it can feel like I'm getting somewhere. I'm in time, I could have things to do, all of that. But it's not actually happening. Just like a dream isn't actually happening. It's just a dream. And when it's taken as a dream, it's much lighter. But if it's a heavy me that's at the center, the focal point, it's my dream. Here that was suffering. My dream, my thoughts, my feelings, my moods, my illnesses, my joys, my successes. What's up, Dan?
What's up? I don't know. I came here to find out.
Do you recognize an old face? That's Diane Martin.
Diane, yeah, yeah. Hi,
Hi,
Diane.
Dan. Hi,
Good to see
Dan.
you.
You too.
Yeah. So the body already has disappeared. The body already is not here. There is nothing here except, well, you said like the image of the body, like the appearance of a body, a world, a Zoom meeting, and anything and everything else here, but no one separate to see it or to be involved with it or to know it, to know what it is, to do anything with it. Everything is the same appearance. And the story seems to, like Michael just said, the energy or the lifeblood of the person is past and future. That's where the story is. So that seems to make a separate person, and then we have all these questions about what to do, because it seems like there's something separate here to make something or to do something with all of these things appearing, or this, and there's a story to be involved in, to participate, because the story's going somewhere, and I want to have it go in the right, the right way for me. That's the illusion. That's the story. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. I'm just talking. But it's
And
all
that doesn't stop, right? But there's a knowing that it's just a dream. Even though the stories continue or everything stays the same really, except there's just an awareness or a recognition that it's a dream.
Well, you could see there's a recognition, but it's not for anybody.
Oh yeah.
but it's already that. Because recognizing or not recognizing, those are two different stories.
Oh yeah.
But what it is already here. It's already heaven. Heaven. What is heaven? Heaven is just what is without needing to be something else. Without missing something else. Or without this imposition, the superimposing of a story of needing something else. That's what the story of me is. But this is not the story of me. This is just what is, no one knowing it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank all of us.
Yes. Thank all the yous that are not there. It feels like a brainwashing in a way, like trying to get it. It's like, even though, but it's upside down, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you could say it's up, yeah, because
we've already been brainwashed. It's already been brainwashed or something.
right, but then the me kind of goes in the other direction and say, oh wait, well, I just need to know myself as nothing.
Mm.
But the I just need to, it's already made everything into a dream of needing something and get it, and maybe I will get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like a brainwashing. Yeah, I'm sorry. Somebody, oh, Jenny.
No, yeah, you're good.
Yeah, it's like a brainwashing. I mean, with this word dream is, very useful also. Like if you fall asleep and you have a dream, it's like you're brainwashed into this other reality, which is, kind of like what it is, except there's no one who's being brainwashed. And it doesn't happen. It's not happening now. It's not, this isn't a dream. This is not a dream. No one's having that dream, except we all know what that dream is. The dream of the person who's trying to get free or trying to just be okay.
So in my dreams at night, I've had very lucid, not me, but lucid dreaming happens. And there's this intention to even wake people up in my dream.
Wow.
Or teaching them how to fly because I know how to fly. And I'm like, we can fly. And they're like, no, we can't. and there's all this opposition. And I'm like, what? There's nobody there.
I love
And yet
that.
there's opposition.
That's great.
So
a
that's
great-
all happening in the mind, like already, whatever the mind is.
But it would make sense that you dream that way. I mean, and I used to do some very similar. I'd have, and I wasn't trying to wake people up, but I was using I'd be doing these lucid dreams, and I would use it as like an exercise to get to wake up and be more, you know, because like I'd see that I could fly across the room, but I couldn't, and I could even get through a wall if I tried really hard, but it was hard. It was a lot of work and a lot of effort. So I would, you know, I'd dream at night and I would work on getting through the wall more easily. Or I'd fly, but I could only fly like around tree top level. And if I tried to fly higher, it was really hard. And I couldn't really do it. So I'd work on that, you know, and then of course, helping other people to wake up would be another natural thing to do and that kind of thing. Because that's, you know, that's the story that we're living. You know, we want to wake up. We want to be more free, have more control, more, you know, more creative. Like we were talking last week, you know, making things better. That's a natural thing. And to help other people do that and do it, you know, with other people that we love, you know, and including everyone, that would be a normal thing, right? Would be natural. It's an extension of the story, this story that, you know, this normal waking story, which is a little more dense than the lucid dreaming story, right? Or a lot more, maybe. I don't know if that reflects what you were saying.
You know, it's very interesting, right? Because this, Dan, about the urge to help others comes naturally. Imagine somebody next to you asleep having a bad dream. I think most of us will very naturally gently shake them to wake them up, because if you see them frightened in the dream.
But that's, I mean, that's to me, I'm saying it's natural and normal, and that's kind of the human story. I mean, not everybody maybe wants to help people. There's different versions of that story, but you know, kind of that's what humans are that's what the human story is. Wanting to know more and wanting to be happy and wanting everyone to be happy and the earth to be happy and the animals and everything. I mean, it's kind of a normal story, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that it's beautiful. But the point of
Beautiful dream. I said it's a beautiful dream. But to want to have that, never going to happen.
Yeah.
But the dream does keep, you know, the dream continues, and we don't know where the dream is going and how it's going. It seems like there's some kind of creative thing going in this dream of universes and people and whatever. But this, yeah, is about pointing to there's no one in the dream. There's no one who's captured by the dream and needing to get somewhere in a dream. The dream, yeah.
It's happening automatically. Like the dream is happening automatically.
Yeah, it's a dream without a dreamer.
I think the sense of individuality is the hardest thing to get past, if you want to say it that way. And to understand that you're everything and everyone, Hitler and also Mother Teresa, is a little bit hard for your brain to get around.
Well, I would say it's impossible. I certainly couldn't understand that.
Yeah,
I contemplate it every day, you know, when I have that sense of wanting to judge something or say that something's good or bad, or, you know, when you have that non-dual, when you have that judgment coming up, is I remind myself that it's everything. And it's just, I guess, a practice of accepting that, just reminding myself. whether or not that takes hold. But it has, in my experience, made a bit of a change, because I could see myself years and years ago as very judgmental about what's right, what's wrong, and who's good and who's bad, and all of that sort of thing. So
Is that
I
over
guess
for you now?
a lot more, not completely, no, but there's a recognition of it. That's what I think is important. There's something comes in and witnesses that and can let it go much more easily. I guess that's probably where I'd say it's
Yeah,
at.
here too. There's just lots of recognizing it.
Mm,
It's like more than I'd ever before.
and that's a great thing. To
It's like,
recognize it is great. And I
Where's
think
that?
go ahead.
Oh, where's that recognition coming from that you're referring to?
Just there's something witnesses the judgment come up, the I that has an idea that something's wrong, and there's witnessing of that, and then just because there's witnessing of it, you're more disassociated with it, and so it's easier to just have it fall away. I mean, I don't even say that I let it go. It just goes. It just drops away, because there doesn't seem so much importance on it anymore. It's really hard to describe in words.
that's perfectly said. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
And right now, is the witnessing, is it personal?
Mm.
This witnessing right here, right now? Does it feel like it has an owner, or that it belongs to?
It does here a little bit.
It does. Oh,
A little bit.
Do tell.
It's kind of like, I guess, an arrogance or something, like, you know, like I recognized. And if I see it in others, I don't like it. I'm opposed to that. Like, I judge it in others, but it's in myself. So I see, it's like it's all being seen. It's the cat's out of the bag, so to speak.
But what is seeing?
Right. What is seeing? That's totally impersonal. Mm.
This is Jenny. I don't know if I could be seen. I'm driving, but one thing that just came to my mind is I can so relate to and I don't know if I got it right, but like this feeling like there's truth to this idea, or what I'm hearing, there's resonance to what I'm hearing about, you know, myself being everything. And I couldn't even imagine what that experience would be like what, okay, so when this lands for me, I'm going to finally like really experience myself as everything. But it's like, well, that would still have to be like, I would still have to be here experiencing myself as everything. So it's kind of like, it's just everything, period.
Yes.
If you have to use a word.
Yeah, and Jenny, I have to say, well said. And I here don't say you are everything. I really, there's just everything.
Right. I feel like I've heard so much of that. So it was like I had this, or I don't know if that was exactly what I heard, but that was what was like, oh, well, the me will drop away and I will experience self as everything, you know, but how could that be?
Yeah, beautiful. Well, that can seem to arise until suddenly, like, I describe it as when, like, a concept when it's seen through to me is like when glass shatters, a glass window shatters. To me, that's like when all of a sudden you're thinking something was real, like and then all of a sudden it's like just a word.
Say more about the glass shatter part.
Well,
Oh, you thought
like
Go ahead.
whatever seems to be to be gotten to be complete, right? So
Right,
so that story. That
right,
it's
right,
yeah, that can shatter, like that it's not already, like for no reason.
right,
It can just be, yeah,
right.
feeling like it's incomplete is the completeness already. There's just no you. There's no separate Jenny. That's, you know, that feeling of separation is it too. The feeling of Jenny's not there yet, as real as it seems. It's this already.
It has nothing to do, nothing to do with Jenny, with any person, with any of our Jennies, anyone, you know, any Jenny that would be anywhere at any time, a person is me, is exactly the one that says I'm not everything. Because I mean, that's how we get me. It's like there's everything and then there's me, which is not everything. So that not everything is never going to be everything. It's already not everything. So, but it's not true. It's just a dream of not everything. There's no such thing as not everything, right? But this idea of not everything could never become everything because it's only what it is by pushing away everything, by separating away, saying, making a separate category of me that isn't everything else. So that one could never do anything about everything, right? So that's why we said that, there's nothing to do and there is no one. That one isn't a one. It isn't. It just isn't, It never is. There's just everything. That's just the way it is.
And so a thought can show up as they do, and a claim can be made that it's my thought.
Mhm.
And so we're going to use noticing again, Dan. You can notice who is that thought talking to? Is there anyone in there? So Jenny, that would be another example of the assumption. The belief can be, or the concept can be, oh, well, those are my thoughts. They're me talking to me. And then suddenly that can shatter, so to say, just little pieces, and you're like, oh, those thoughts aren't taught. There's nothing in there. I've never seen a thought.
It's like without one word, how could those thoughts belong to anybody or even be thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even very good. Even what is like what named? So it's calling thoughts thoughts.
Yeah. You could say, I mean, that they're thoughts, thoughts, what are thoughts? They're just, it's stuff that shows up, and that's what there is. You could call, we call some things thoughts, we call, some things that show up, we call a thought. Other things we call a sound, if we hear it, or a cloud if it's going by, like or a dog, you know, all of those things are just things showing up, and a thought is another thing. We don't know what any of this stuff is. Of course, we make stories about it with thought and with language and everything. And, you know, we can make these little structures of stories, but if you just, actually, it's just stuff showing up, just like this moment, it's just stuff showing up. But there's no one that it could show up to. There's no place where it could show up. We don't know, you know, that would require a story to, you know, we could make a story about all of that. And in the story would be a person, a me who's having the thought and then trying to use the thought to get reconnected to it all. Because that, in that story, the separate one doesn't like being separate. You know, it feels moved, this energy to move into connection with everything, as you know, because that's what follows from being separate. But that isn't here. All the stuff showing up is already showing up. It's already what it is without being known anyway.
And there can be the attempt to use thoughts to get what me wants. And then that too can be noticed. Well, wait a second. What is using what? Let's just slow down here.
And maybe notice that, well, where I would get to in that story of getting what I want, getting where I want, how I want, what I would get to actually is just only what already is as this. And there isn't anything else. There just is nothing else except this, which already is what it is.
Yeah.
You
So
do it.
that's why it said this is what is longed for. Regardless of the story. It's always this. Yeah. I know.
I was thinking about language and how it's an appearance. So wouldn't it be wonderful? I know it's future stuff, but there doesn't have to be language to communicate. But there seems to be language, so, but that's an appearance, so it can disappear.
Well, yes, everything that comes will go.
Yeah.
Except this. This doesn't come and go.
That's right. Anything's possible.
Well,
So-
language seems to be part of the game of separate beings, separate things, connecting, communicating,
Right.
learning, growing, whatever. It seems to be part of that whole story. But that's a story, and I would say there is no communication. I mean, there's story of communication, yes, and you know, making this thing like like we were just doing now. There's kind of this communication. What is that? I don't know, but it's not really communication. It's really just this being what it is, not separate, not any separate anything to communicate with anything.
So there's assuming going on mostly all the time. Assuming that something is different
In the story
than this.
of the person, yeah, that's what the person is, the separate one. It's an assuming of separation and building a story based on that assumption.
Correct.
And if that assumption is something real solid, real, then maybe that story is real. And then maybe we have these real problems and we can, but if it's not real, and the whole thing.
Thanks.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I would say that the freedom is actually, I don't know what real means or unreal. I don't know. Like,
Right. So we could say the assuming is assuming that I do know, and that real is real. And the story that comes out of that is real. Yeah, who knows what real is? But we know it's real because it's the assumption. It was assumed to be real.
Right. So reality, there is nothing real. Even though we talk about that all the time, like, what's real?
well, yeah, imagine a dream with dream characters asking each other what is real in the dream.
Although, as we would say in this kind of language, well, the only thing that's real is this. It's just what is, and that is it's not real or not real. Because once you've said what is, real and not real don't mean anything.
Yeah, there's no word.
It is.
You can't capture it in words.
I think this is a dream come true, where everybody's talking about waking up, but we know that it's the dream.
So when you say that everything is this, what I would have said before when I said I am everything, I am identifying as this. And this is everything. This is what is. And that's a truth for me. Because I hear that statement that everything is this, but some confusion happens when I hear that this. Something wants to ask, what's this? Is it not me? Is it not what I actually am? Is it not that reality that you were just talking about?
Well, there's just nothing you could say expressing is everything.
Yeah, I'm nothing. That's what I am. I'm not a thing.
Yeah, that's if it's not, it's not a thing. So yeah, beautiful.
Or you could say it's wordless.
Mm.
We can't say.
It can't be known objectively as an object.
Right.
Mm.
Because
Or
all we
you-
can know objectively is the story about something, about what it might be.
Yeah,
Were you-
story is always about, right? Story is always about. Go
And
ahead.
it's always
Don?
based on some knowledge that's already here. And as we were just talking about, that knowledge is always based on this assuming of a bunch of stuff that isn't here unless we assume it. So,
Well, the story needs a past, right? It always has, once upon a time, there it is.
yeah.
Once upon a time, there's
But you
boom.
can't tell the story of this, of what is, of what actually is. There's no story of that. There's nothing about it. There's nothing, you can't get outside of it to see what it's about. There's no one outside of it who knows it.
Yeah, there's nobody inside the body that knows this. No little tiny you tucked away somewhere in the body. No. And there's no one outside that knows this.
Or no one inside the world that knows the world, no one outside the world, no one inside or outside of anything.
And yet there is knowing, right? You know how to put the key in the front door and go inside your house. You know how to do that. So there is knowing. There's just no separate knower.
And knowing
It's-
belongs to itself, right? Like the knowing doesn't have an owner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's freedom.
That's separate.
You could say it's, yeah, exactly. It's just freedom appearing as knowing how to put the key in the lock.
But you could call that knowing within a story. Within the story, there's knowing because that's part of the story. But there's no real knowing of anything except a story. But we were talking about what is, what this actually is. There's no knowing of that. Because within the story, it's Michael that knows, Michael that puts the key in the lock, Michael, this separate character, Michael. That's just in the story, and all of that makes this, just naturally works in the story. All the things we know and all the things we do, and it works but there is no real Michael doing anything really
Or Dawn, or Diane, or Dan, or Cedric, or Nina, or Brenda, or Anon, or Jenny, or Faith. There are no separate anythings. There's just what's happening.
So there's nobody holding on and there's nobody letting go. That's a story. People say, you gotta let that go. You gotta let that go. You've been holding on to that for so long.
Yes.
And it's like there's this impatience going on. Like get over it already.
Yeah.
And it's just what's happening.
There's a lot of holding on and letting go in the story, of course. There's the story of holding on to this and letting go of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we're really getting down to the real thing. And I mean, really, what wants to be let go of is myself, is the self, wants to let go of itself.
Mm.
And that's not possible. Let go of yourself.
Mm.
That would be the advice if some compassionate person was going to come to, you want to be free, just let go of yourself. And of course, there are, there are practices that are about doing that, but it's not.
Another distraction, maybe.
But the self, as I was saying before, the self is actually just the holding on. So how does the holding on let go of itself? doesn't really work that way. But then we're also saying that there actually isn't anything holding on. There is no holding on. How would there be holding on? How's everything holding on to itself? That's an illusion. It's a dream. Or it's an assumption that there's this holding on that needs to do something, relax, give up, surrender.
Yeah, something needs to happen for me to be there. So that's another concept. There can be a real feeling of an idea that I'm not there yet. That's it. There's just that feeling. Here, there was a not giving a shit about that feeling. Yeah, it feels like I'm not there yet, but all is still this. The feeling not there yet is it.
It's an appearance to convince something that you are someone. You better get with the program. There's this constant contraction.
That whole get up of being a separate person and having a separate life and having personal feelings and personal goals and personal, heartbreaks, all of that jazz, that can suddenly, like, it's like you thought you were driving something, and suddenly you look around, the whole bus is like disintegrating, and then you're disintegrating, and then there's just, the driverless bus.
Because it's based on a false scenario, a false assumption. This is based on the idea that, well, this isn't right, but it can get right. The next moment could be right, or it could be righter, or it could go in that direction. The next thing, the next this could be okay. But there isn't any next this. There isn't any other this. The assumption of me is that, yes, there can be something else. And something I can do, something I could learn, something that could happen, something, whatever. I mean, there can be something that will come the next moment, just over that horizon. It's beyond what I can see. But that's not true. There is nothing else. There is no next. There just isn't. There never has been, except as a story.
And we don't, and there's no need to get rid of anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's a thought in going, oh, that's bad. That's an illusion, that's bad, I gotta get rid of it. Or this isn't really happening, it's bad, I gotta get rid of it. Like there's this old narrative going on still.
So,
That's me. Every me is that.
So Nina, who is that thought talking to?
Yeah, right. It's just ownerless. It's like an abandoned child or something.
Yeah, well, there he is. Funny enough, NKOSI, right, was talking to Charles on the video. And NKOSI, you got to talk about this because that cracked me up. And Charles, too, commented to you about it because we both had never heard this. NKOSI, the other word he used for the me was a muscular thought.
Ooh. Ooh. Might makes right.
Yeah, it's just a thought, no. It's just a thought anyway. But it may seem to claim that it owns other thoughts. It may seem to be bothered by other thoughts. He claims to be the center of the universe, but yet it's still an expression of this. It's just this expressing as that. There is no separation. Thoughts are, when they are looked for, they can never really be found. They seem to be there, but they're never really there. So I would say it's just this, which is already nothing, expressing as thoughts. So as they are, they can never really be found. And even the finder is already not there. So there's nothing here already. There's just this. And this is already everything. There is already no individual who's seeking for this. There is already no separate self who's asking questions. It's just this asking questions, giving answers. There's nobody here who wants to know anything. There's just what's happening. Expressing as questions and answers, emotions, thoughts already. So there's no separation. Everything is this. No matter what shape or form it may appear to be, it's just this already. Every direction is already this. And this is unknowable. This can never be known because they are not different parts. There's no separation. Who is there outside of this to know this? Is there even outside? Somebody who's trying to know this is just a story appearing in this as this, and it's going nowhere. Yet in the story itself, it may seem as if it's going somewhere. When there's that sense of being separate from everything, there may seem to be a story that is going somewhere. Something may claim that maybe by hearing this message, I will eventually find what I'm looking for. But that's just a dream. That's just a story. There's nobody to find this already. There's just this, expressing as that. It is already this which says, maybe if I can do this and that, I will find what I'm looking for. There's no one behind that who's saying those words. It's just this, which is nothing, saying those words. And this right here isn't trying to convince anybody, isn't teaching anybody, and isn't talking to anybody already, because there is no one yet to talk to. There's no one listening. Yet in the story, which is already this, something may seem to say, I'm listening to Nkosi's words. But that's just a dream. That's just a story. There's no listener. There's just listening. There's no talker. There's just talking. And there is no one who is confused already. There's just this expressing as confusion. There's nothing behind confusion. There's nothing behind anger. There's nothing behind frustration. There's nothing behind not getting it. It's just this, whatever is arising or not happening. thinking that there's something to get happening, giving up happening, finding a new strength and courage to go until the end to find this happening. Everything is this. No matter the shape or form it may appear to be, it's just already wholeness, everything undivided. And there's no one here who knows this. Everything is this. And that's what's coming up here.
Beautiful. I just have to tell you, this image of a muscular thought in Nkosi just kills me. You know, it pictures like a prison boss, like a guy in prison trying to keep all the other prisoners in line.
Yeah, it's just a thought. The same as other thoughts. It claims to be the boss.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, man. Are there any last comments or questions before we close out this evening?
It's nice to see Diane again. It's been a long time. And everyone
Thank
else,
you.
of course.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been missing in action a bit.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Lots happening in my dream.
A dream without
Yeah.
a dreamer.
Yeah, lots of challenging things, but yeah, just seen for that.
Thank you for creating this space and for everybody doing the sharing. It's so enjoyable.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Jenny. Nkosi, Cedric, Dawn, Dan, Diane, Anon, Faith, Brenda. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.